Hello, welcome to Frank's School. This looks like a lot. I'm going to go through it pretty quickly though. This is May 29th, or April 29th, I believe. May Day is just 2 days away, and my favorite day of the year on average, possibly the most beautiful day of the year. Shakespeare said that when he compared beauty the 1st of May to the last of December. Uh, and so, dead ends, what a subject. Well, seasonal. I rather hope that these dead ends are seasonal, that I'll come back to them. And who knows, something might pop up and I'll find a way out. But I sort of feel like I've hit dead ends in various subjects. And this video, this particular one, like maybe another one, is a little bit like Ariadne's Gordian knot for myself, a way of reminding myself how I got here. But it's not just a string, it's like a Gordian knot, it's like complicated. Well, one of them is I'm going to erase them as I go, I think. Historical novel. I have tried, and I will continue to try, but I'm not going to try as hard right now, to find a writer that would be interested in the history of this place, this deserted and then forgotten village. I've tried a little bit, but I'm going to stop for now. That was a dead end. Didn't find anybody, not yet. Apprentices. At the moment, my apprentices haven't been showing up. I could count maybe 5 young boys that are like apprentices. They want to learn, but I think they get so busy. So at the moment, I have no apprentices. I expect they'll maybe show up, but that's a dead end. Former students. As I taught in public school, I probably had between 4,000 and 5,000 students for the year. And I'm in contact with a lot of them. I mean, this is over a period of maybe 40 years. And I'm in contact with a lot of them on Facebook. And it's interesting, when I taught, I wasn't teaching this kind of material. I taught what was fully acceptable within the realm of the humanities, in the public school. I got a cat here. But, so it's been interesting staying in touch with them and watching them grow up and see what became of them. Because many of them were very smart, smarter than me. Go on, cat. And, they went into the world and had to make a way, and now they have families and stuff. So it's interesting. Some of them, well, in any case, I don't have any of them sort of rushing to me, say, oh, I want to learn more of this stuff. All right, Back to the Land was enormous. I read that book by Donna Brown, Back to the Land, and that set me off on this sort of quest. Bill Sharp, I contacted him. Haven't heard from him lately. He's the guy that now is writing for New School of Living. Daniel Immervar, a professor in Northwestern University, very helpful to me. And I was going. I was eventually led to a man named Eric Asadorian. I tried to contact him, but have not heard anything from him. Limits to Growth, that book, I'm not going to reread it, but I found that it didn't die off and it kept going. And that eventually led me to things like Earth Overshoot Day, the day each year by which time more has been consumed than the Earth can produce, and it's they track it, and of course it gets earlier in the year steadily. So this is being watched, but and there are many directions I could still go. It would help if I got some resonance. I did get some resonance from a man on my YouTube channel. Pennsylvania guy that he seemed to understand this. Jonathan Faith is his name. I didn't write it up here, but that was interesting to actually have somebody come back and say he understood. He thought, yeah, a former software engineer, now living on a farm, young guy. Anyway, that led me to the word degrowth, which I have said I will embrace that word. I think it's probably a good word. And I can use it in conjunction with decentralism. And actually, almost for the first time, my belief in decentralism has been challenged by what China has done. China, with its one-child policy, was able to basically force degrowth of its population, which I think ultimately you'd have to say was a very good thing because it was completely out of control. And they didn't do that through decentralism. They did that as a centralized government. They sort of laid down the law and growth in the population stopped. Well, the day that Trump was signing legislation or executive order or whatever to let the companies go again and not protect the environment so much, the leader of China was planting a tree that day. And, you know, I think centralized China may do much more to come to the rescue than certainly centralized United States. So, all right, that stuff. But anyway, in this process, I was led back to my own work. I've said that elsewhere, Wedge's Paradigm. And I looked at it, I reread it, revisited it. And that had been a dead end for me back about 1975. And, you know, I thought to myself, should I turn myself into science as a living fossil? Because things stopped. I gave up. I mean, it was a dead end. I could go no further with Wedge's Paradigm. But now I revisited it. And it led me for a ways. But I still feel like it's a dead end. It led me to energetics. You know, these are subjects which pertain ecological modeling. You know, and I tried to figure out how far had they gone. There is a video game. I had said about artists, video game writers. Where are they? There's a video game called Echo, which is the best that I know of now that actually tries to realistically deal with the world instead of just, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger pushing a button on his cell phone and impossibly stone walls pop up out of the ground. You know, I look at that and think, what are the hydraulics that it would take to pop a stone wall up out of the ground? You know, stupid, so stupid, but so into that idea of power and consumption, and which has got to go. Well, anyway, Echo is a little different from that. And I eventually found that Noah, what is it? I forget what. Anyway, it developed EchoPath and EchoSim, and it was highly praised as an enormous breakthrough and stuff. Well, I looked at them both, and I didn't write SketchUp here. I probably should have written SketchUp. I looked at them both, and maybe it's me, but I actually was not that impressed. I thought, yeah, that's good. It's great. You know, this is doing that. But it seemed a little bit hard for me to use, and it seems so simplistic. I mean, when they start adding species, you know, you add 4, now you add 8 species, and they interact and stuff. Whereas in Wedge's Paradigm, I was dealing with hundreds. Now, one of the things that I suspected maybe, was that Wedge's Paradigm came up with something completely impossible for science and math to do. That in spite of how amazing computers are and how fast, they would soon get lost in through sheer vast number. I'm just not sure. But I thought at first, oh boy, here it is. Well, maybe someone watching this can say, well, Frank, you just didn't understand this. This is really great. I hope. I even looked at SketchUp, which is a program for drawing. I thought maybe what I should do, and I'm going to revisit Wedge's Paradigm just a little bit because I'm going to add to it. And I thought maybe if I would learn SketchUp, I could actually draw Wedge's Paradigm on a computer and roll it around and add to it and stuff, maybe. But I'm either too old for that or not smart enough, I don't know, so that's not going to happen. Now, these I felt are... The dead end is still there. Men have devoted professional lives now, since I reached the dead end, to this work in Europe, and I still think they're at a dead end. I mean, it's more and more. it's continually obvious that things have to change, but things don't change. And I concluded, at the moment anyway, that discontent is needed. I mean, as long as people are relatively satisfied with the status quo, their job, their house, their children, not happy, but relatively satisfied, then things aren't going to change. I guess it's going to take great discontent to jog it loose to change it. I don't know. Idealism is not enough, apparently. I mean, back in the 60s and early 70s, young people were very, very discontent, and they were also driven by idealism. So I don't know. I mean, an economic crash, a Trump dump in the stock market, maybe, I don't know, a war with brought on by this North Korea. So I don't know. But I feel that in spite of all this work, there still is, they talk about a paradigm shift, but there is no paradigm. There is no dream that I've seen yet. And so I come back to the artists. The artists have to create the dream, I think. Writers, movie makers, songwriters, singers, artists. The dream is not there. I mean, it's, you listen to the science, and if you believe science, as Trump doesn't, but it's clear, it's clear, but the dream is lacking. In talking about my movie Resurrection, I mentioned Swiss Family Robinson. That's the best example. Maybe Robinson Crusoe. Maybe Mysterious Island. These were fictional dreams that were there. Take Swiss Family Robinson as an example. Well, there is no dream that I've found. But it's led me back to Resurrection, my attempt to come up with something for lack of somebody else, but that's also at a dead end. I put the whole thing on my channel. I don't know how many videos it is, it's a playlist. I'm going to go back and change it some, but it didn't seem to get very many people's attention. So anyway, that's also at a dead end, but it's there. But I shifted over then to ressurreição in Portuguese, resurrection in Portuguese, and that is not a dead end. I found that Portuguese speakers and understanders, it got their interest. And I will continue to work. Ressurreição. And if you think, oh, that's going to leave us out, we speak English. Well, the movie, if it were ever done, would be wordless. The making of the movie would require words. But once it's done, there would be no words. And so it wouldn't matter if it was English, Chinese, Portuguese, Bantu, Apache. It wouldn't really matter. I said a guru. When I was saying about the dream is not there, I thought, well, maybe what the movement needs is a guru, a little bit like Scott Nearing and his wife, Helen and Scott Nearing, were a little bit like that in the 1960s. And if there is a guru out there, I think there's some would-be gurus, but I don't know who they are yet. And then the other thing, to end on an optimistic note, is Frank's school, Camp Ranch campus, the physical plant, right here, what I'm going to do this afternoon, what I did yesterday. It's no dead end at all, and I'm going to, the season is coming around for it, my health is back, so I can end that on an optimistic note. All right, bye for now.